Two-time Grammy nominee and master of fingerstyle guitar play, Tommy Emmanuel is in Korea for his live and acoustic tour. This is his 5th time in Korea, and his performance last night was a huge success. You're listening to his music right now from the album and from live in the studio. Good morning, Tommy.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in.
I'd forgotten about that. That was from my live album.
Yeah.
The reason I put that song on there, that's Sukiyaki, which is a famous Japanese song. I put that on there because when I played in California, there were always a whole contingent of Japanese fans. And they came all that way for shows, you know. And so I guess they were trying to tell me you better come to Japan a bit more often.
You got nothing named after a Korean dish then?
Not yet. No, but I'm working on it. My girlfriend is Korean.
Oh, right.
So there you go.
Good for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I introduced you as the master of fingerstyle guitar play. Let's.
Ooh, that's a big statement. Did I write that?
Well, I wrote it. I decided,
Ah,
and you
okay.
deserve to be called that.
Well.
So, what is fingerstyle exactly?
Well, obviously, using all your fingers, but it's a particular style. It's based on stride piano. There was a guy named. I've forgotten his name. Anyway, they started playing a piano in a style that was almost honky tonk. You know, where you've got the. Can someone turn this on? Mm-hmm. There it is. Okay, I can't really hear it. So the left hand on the piano does that. Boom, boom, boom. The left hand, right, and then the right
plays
hand plays all the melodies. So you got like there.
Oh.
You turn up a bit more. A bit more. So it's kind of like totally self-contained style, you know, and you can do things like that. Once I worked out the technique of it, I then set about to try to create ideas and be able to play 2 separate parts. Like, for instance, in the Beatles' Lady Madonna, there's a riff, right?
Yeah.
Then there's a melody. Who finds the money when you pay the rent? So it's playing the 2 parts at the same time.
With one hand.
With one hand.
Yeah,
while
so
learning.
your thumb plays the left hand on the piano, and
Exactly.
then the rest of your fingers play the right hand.
You got it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's a very self-contained style, so you can, you can turn that up. That'd be good. Thank you very much. There you go. All right. Now I can hear it. That's good.
So how long have you been playing that way?
Since about 1962.
Ooh.
So it's a long time.
50 years.
50-something years, yeah. I started out as a rhythm guitar player for my brother. There was a band in Australia, a band from England called The Shadows, and their music was really wonderful, and it was very popular in Australia. So the rhythm guitar player played all the backing part, and then the lead player played over the top. The thing is that there was a bass guitar on those records, of course, and I didn't know much about that, so I learned both parts. That's what I worked out from listening to the record. So you've got the rhythm player going, and the bass player going, and I worked out.
So what normally takes 2 instruments, you play with one instrument.
And it was what I call a happy accident.
Yeah.
You know, because I worked out how to do that, thinking that was what I was hearing. And then, of course, years later, when I first saw a band play live, there was a bass player, and I went, what's that guy? You know?
Well, I hear that you can actually be alone and produce the same kind of sound that would be produced by a whole band.
Well, it's just a matter of how big and loud you want it to be, you know. I also play kind of percussively.
Yeah, percussively.
And so that helps me to sound a little bigger than life, you know.
How do you do that?
Well, you play the tune. Say, for instance, you get the bass part going like this. Then you add like a drum beat there.
Oh.
Then you add rhythm.
Oh.
Then melody. Something like that.
You're a one-man quartet.
Well, think of the money I'm saving up here.
Must be saving a lot of money. How would you describe the genre of music you play?
Well, it's melody-based music. It's hard to describe because there are elements of jazz, there are elements of rock and roll, there's elements of country there's elements of classical. There's a bit of everything in my playing. And as a writer, I try to write melody that sticks in your head, stuff like that.
You write the melody first?
Usually I get the whole idea at once.
Really?
I usually get everything at the same time.
The whole quartet going
The whole quartet, yeah. Well, like for instance, here's a classic example. I was watching a James Bond movie called Moonraker one night, and I heard this chord. And it moved me great. I thought, what a beautiful sound.
Just one chord.
One chord. That's all it took. I switched off the TV immediately, went looking for that chord. And I thought, how can I steal that idea? So I came up with this. Then I wrote this melody.
Playing that, I think we're going to need to kind of phase out of this half hour. We'll be back with more from Tommy Emmanuel in just a bit.
Don't go away. What a lovely commercial.
We're with the most famous guitarist to come out of Australia, Tommy Emmanuel, for a special interview.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Do you enjoy coming to Korea?
I love it. Absolutely love it. And, well, I haven't been here enough,
Right. 5 times so far. The last time was 3 years ago.
Right, yeah. We had a bigger crowd last night.
Yeah.
So. And I think out of all the countries that I visit, I get a real lot of email from this country, from people, from players. And what amazed me about this place is the first time I came here, I started my tour with a workshop. And I did a workshop in the afternoon of the first concert. And there were a lot of people with a little sticker on their shirt. And it was a fingerstyle guitar association, right? So in a place like America, you have a fingerstyle guitar association. They have at least 100 members, right? Well, after I did my workshop and I talked to one guy and I said, what's this fingerstyle association? He said, oh, that's our fingerstyle club here, and we get together every couple of weeks, and we play a lot of your songs. I said, oh, thank you, that's great. I said, how many members do you have? And he said, 7,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, there's not another place on earth that has that many people who are into acoustic guitar.
That's why you're such a big star here, too. I understand you're having a fan meeting tomorrow as well.
I am.
Looking forward to that?
Yeah, very much so. See, for the last 40-odd years of my career, I used to come out after every show at the end of the night and meet people and sign autographs and get photos. And that could take, there were 1,000 people there last night, so that could take an hour and a half, 2 hours to get through everybody. And so I just found that I wasn't getting enough rest, and my health was starting to pay the price.
Yeah.
I was getting frazzled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where you don't feel relaxed and you don't have enough patience because you're tired. So we made a decision a couple of years ago that it would be better for me to meet people before the show. And then disappear like Elvis Presley after the show, because we used to call it the Elvis getaway. Elvis has left the building.
The building, right?
Yeah. So what I used to do used to quite often at the end of the night I'd play the last note and wave to the audience and bow, take my bows, and then I would run straight into the limo and I'm gone. So while while the lights just coming on in the hall, I'm already halfway back to the hotel. But and it made a big difference to my health. So what I wanted to do when I came here was to have a chance to meet the fans properly, because quite frankly, the first time I came here, I had more fans than I'd ever dreamed, and they were more than dedicated and more than excited.
And I bet you were a huge influence on their guitar playing.
Well, that's a nice thing to say. But what I wanted to say was that I met people almost standing there trembling. And it touched me so much. I didn't know what to say, and when I got close to these people, these are young men and women, and some of them are like 16, 18 years old, and for an 18-year-old to tell you he loves you, and then to say, I'm very happy. What more could you ask for?
Well, one of the people you influenced here is the YouTube star, guitar prodigy Chung Sung-ha, whom you actually performed with. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well,
what do you think about his guitar?
He's great, and he's always been good. And I admired Sunga's dedication and everything. He knows what it is to play a good song, and he knows how to play it well. And people love him, and that's a wonderful thing. He has a great future. And by the time he was like 14 years old, he was already playing stuff much better than a lot of adults, So it's just a gift, and he's doing the right thing. He's working hard at it, and he's keeping his head on his shoulders.
Good.
Yeah.
I hear you actually don't plan your concert step by step. You just kind of go out and
I just
play whatever.
Playing. Yeah, I think, I don't want to work to a list because I don't want to get stuck in, something so regimented. The only time I would ever sit and plan a show and make sure that I stuck to the list would be if I was working with an orchestra who needed to know what was coming next. And there have been times when I've been playing with an orchestra where I've turned around and I've changed my mind and I've said, this is next, and there's been a hell of a panic with them, everybody changing music and all that. Just because you've got to have a trust in your instincts, and your experience. And if something tells you, no, change, do this, you have to listen to it. It's there for a reason, and
it means you have to have a lot in your arsenal as well.
Well,
you can just whip out anything on the spot.
I know, and I've been really fortunate. I have a repertoire that's really varied, and plus, I don't mind playing covers. If someone sings out "House of the Rising Sun," I'm happy to play it and sing it. And if someone sings out, play, While My Guitar Gently Weeps or whatever, I'm happy to jump into that.
I love that too. Oh. Getting goosebumps,
I don't wonder. George Harrison wrote it. something like that.
I feel extremely privileged. I feel like I'm getting a concert all of my own.
I hope that everybody else out there listening feels the same way.
Hope so too. I want to talk about your relationship with Chet Atkins, how you
Yeah.
started out as a fan of his.
I've always been a fan. I
As a
still
boy, and how he ended up becoming a fan of yours.
Well, you know, that's these things happen in life sometimes, and it's pretty rare, but it says a lot about him. When I was a kid and I first heard him, first of all, I heard his name being talked about. And he was like this mystical figure, this like guitar god that nobody could reach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I finally heard him on the radio, and he had a sound that was so unique. And I remember people talking about him saying, well, he's an American, it must be a recording trick, and I didn't know what they meant, but what they were talking about was the fact that he was doing everything at once, right? So he's got the bass going with his thumb like that, then the melody. And this you didn't hear this very often, especially in Australia. You got to remember, this is the early '60s in Australia, so people are only just discovering the Beatles.
Yeah.
So it was a unique sound.
Yeah, and if he's recording it alone, then it must mean he's taking several takes where
You
he
would think
does the
so.
bass and
Yeah,
then does the melody. But no,
Exactly. No. Yeah. And so, I had one of those moments, those galvanizing moments in my life where I was listening to him and I just knew that's what I've got to do. You know what I mean? At that moment, all that mattered to me was to be able to work that out, and that's what I've got to do. And I don't know whether I was too young and naive to know, but I didn't know that was my mission in life. But it was calling me right there, And when I got to know Chet later on in life, he told me the same thing. He said he heard the great Merle Travis on the radio and had one of those moments where I've got to do that. And it was exactly the same feeling, And I think it's kind of nature's way of things getting handed on. It's a natural order of things, And, I also remember kind of wrestling with this, thinking I should be in a rock band, I should be making a lot more money, I should be much more successful, blah, blah, blah. And then a voice in my head says, no, you've got to take your place, and it's like, oh, okay. So, and my place is obviously to continue this style of music and to bring it around the world.
Right. And Chet Atkins presented you with the Certified Guitar Player Award.
Yeah.
The CGP.
Yeah.
What does that mean to a guitarist?
Well, it's a big responsibility, as it turned out. It wasn't just some kind of award of acknowledgement. It's a responsibility. And Chet asked me to, as long as I could, to keep going and take this music around the world. Lucky for me, I'm living in a great time where there are so many young players out there who can take what goes back beyond Chet Atkins and do something with it and bring it into the next century.
So you're giving the aha moment to a lot of the young musicians out there.
What I'm trying to do is show young people that that it's a very wonderful thing to be in music and to get committed to the guitar. It's much better than being committed to a gun or a knife, So I just want people to enjoy the music and last night the young man who played before me, Sung Yao, I said to him after the show, first of all, you play wonderfully. You really do. You play much more mature than a young man your age. But your future is now. You are going to make so many people happy. Just when you play, people get happy. And therein is the reason why music's here for us.
That was the reason that drove you all
Absolutely.
these years. Yeah.
I knew when I was young, when I played, something happened to people. I don't know what it is, but it's real and it's there. And the good thing about it is when you recognize it, it sets you free because you don't have to then get up and say, I've got to prove myself blah, 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 you know, and where the human ego comes in, you know. I'm free to enjoy myself and to play and try to do the best I can. But the good thing is it's not about me. It's about me doing what I do. And so it sets me free. And that's a wonderful
I have a question as a concerned fan.
Okay.
You know, you've been playing the guitar for over 50 years now, and you're still going very strong. But is there such thing as an age limitation with guitar playing?
I hope not.
I hope not too.
Well, Les Paul played until he was 94. Segovia played till he was 92. I think it's all about health, really.
Yeah.
The reason Les slowed down a lot is because of arthritis. I'm so lucky. I don't have any issues with my hands and my body in general. My health has been very good. And so I think it's all about my attitude, my passion, my drive, and the reason I'm out there. When I was younger, I had issues dealing with, you know, being away from my children. I'm divorced 10 years ago, and the only issues I had to deal with were feelings of guilt of being away from my children, not being with my children. That was hard. But, you know, I had to make peace with that as well. I had to say to them and to myself, this is how things are, and this is what I do, and it's very important. And so we're all going to have to work around it, you know. And that was a great thing to feel, you know.
You take care of your health, even if it means sometimes you have to do the Elvis getaways.
Absolutely.
Because we want to enjoy your music as long as possible.
Thank you.
Now, in June 2010, you were appointed a member of the Order of Australia. What does that mean?
Well, it's the highest honor that your country can give you that is non-military. But, I think it's just a quiet pat on the back saying, well done, boy, keep going, you know? I don't know.
Does that make your head grow?
No, not really. It's already grown enough. What are you talking about? It's a great honor for me, and I love my country very much. But really, there are so many people who deserve it as well. You know, I'm just a guitar player who tries to make people feel good. That's the bottom line. You know, I don't profess to be anything else. So I don't know. If they honor me, lovely. That's nice. I appreciate it.
I also have a question because I'm not very musically talented. You know, while we were taking that break, our station jingles were running, and you were just immediately picking up the melody and playing on the thing. And I heard you were like that ever since you were a wee boy. Like nobody taught you how to play the guitar. You just picked up the tunes and do it. Is that something that you're born with?
I have an ear for I can hear a song and tell you what key it's in and what the chord structure is. See, I learned to play through learning songs. It's music that inspires us, and so I would listen to a song and concentrate and work out what the chords were, you know. And I discovered many shortcuts, ways to help me get it quicker, and that was that every song has a pattern that reoccurs, right? So you got you got yesterday all my trouble, that's pattern one. Then it goes suddenly, oh, it's the same pattern. Okay, so I've got pattern. That's pattern one. Now pattern two is why she had to go, right? And that happens again. I said something wrong. Right? So, and then it goes back into the next verse. Yesterday, oh, that's the same as pattern one. So that's telling me that yesterday is pattern A, and then pattern A again, then pattern B, then pattern A again. So it's A, B, A. Oh, that's yesterday.
Yeah.
Boom, got it. You know what I mean? Oh. And it's like kindergarten if you look at it that way. But then you've got other songs like, you know, you try learning a Mozart piece and using that skill. It doesn't work too well.
Well, you were born in a musical family, though. So, you know, there must be something in the genes as well.
Well, it comes from my mother's side of the family. My mother could sing and play, and it was her who put the guitar in my hand. But my brothers and sisters were mad about music too, you know. But although they quit after our father passed away, but my brother Phil and I continued, you know. And my brother has an amazing ear. He can hear a dog bark and tell you what note it is, you know. So I try not to take him on too many walks because he starts composing, you know.
So do you carry around your guitar everywhere, because you never know where you're going to get ideas for a melody?
Exactly. I carry this guitar in a bag on my back. It sounds like a lyric from Johnny B. Good, doesn't it? He used to carry his guitar in a gunny sack. Yeah, and so, you know, sometimes I write songs at airports or on the train or whatever, you know. I remember composing a song called "Train to Dusseldorf," and I was on the train going to Dusseldorf. Yeah, it goes a bit like this.
Definitely sounds like you're going somewhere.
It should.
I noticed you took off your shoes. Is that what you normally do when you play? Or?
No.
Okay, you're just trying to be comfortable.
Yeah, it was just. Well, I had my kind of tennis shoes on with no socks, and I thought, I can kick them off in here. Yeah, don't tell the people out there.
I already did. Sorry. Well, we have to wrap up the interview, but I was wondering if I can ask you to play us a couple minutes of guitar music as we kind of wind things down.
Are you ready?
And thank you very much, Tommy.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you, our listeners. I'll be back tomorrow.